Hello everybody and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be revisiting a band I checked out about 8 months ago, a band called Laang. Now I say a band, but I seem to recall they were it was a solo project from out of Taiwan that described themselves as terror black metal. But as far as I remember, I actually quite liked them. I thought it was a very good track, the first one I checked out. And a couple of days ago, they released a new track called Dongshan. Probably pronounced that hideously. I do apologise if that's the case. And I understand that translates to Frostbite. I could be wrong. You see, I translated the title myself. I did it through Google Translate, and Frostbite is the word that came up. Now, with that being said, I do have lyrics for this track, and again, they are translated through Google Translate, because with this track being only 2 days old, there was no English translation for the lyrics that I could find. So, underneath the video, there were lyrics, but they were written in Mandarin. I think it's Mandarin. Which I cannot read nor understand. So I put the lyrics through Google Translate, and it came out with, well, from what I've read, the brief cursory look over the lyrics I've given, it seems to make sense. I've not actually examined them in depth, so if there are mistakes in the lyrics, that's completely on me. You know, I had no other alternative to try and find a translation, so we'll do what we can with it and hope for the best. So we'll jump into this track, like I said, called Dongshan, or Frostbite, and see what we get. So, this is Frostbite by Laang.
求真却配，麻木标注我却甚至我谁的这有本来。
And there we go. That was Frostbite, or Dong Shang, by Laang. Now, again, like with the first track that I checked out, I really like that, because it's... Anybody who's watched this channel for any amount of time knows that I have a very hit-and-miss relationship when it comes to black metal. I'm very specific in what I do and do not like. And this works for me. I like this, because the vocal style is not what most people would typically associate with black metal, which is more of a sort of higher pitched, sort of screamed, if not growled, vocal style, as this is a sort of deeper, almost shouted vocal style. And there's a lot more melody and whatnot when it comes to the music. You know, black metal has this habit of being very monotonous, to me at least. This really changes it up, and I like the way that that song ended, you know, where the sort of music disappeared away and there was still him, you know, doing his vocals as the music fell away, and then suddenly just stopping. You know, I like the way they've done that. You know, there's quite a few things I like about the way that they do the music for this particular band. Now, the actual song itself, it's actually... If the lyrics have translated properly, and from reading through it, it all makes quite a lot of sense. So the translation seems to be good. It's actually kind of a depressing song, but it's also kind of beautiful in a way, because it seems to be talking about someone who is... They've resigned themselves to death. You know, they're just sort of like, you know, just let me die. I'm fine with it. That's, you know. But it seems to be they've done that because they've lost the happiness in their life. That, you know, they've lost something, like maybe they've lost a loved one or something. So in a way, it's beautiful, because it's like, if I can't have this beauty, if I can't have this happiness, if I can't have this thing that I love so much in my life, then, you know, it's just not worth it anymore. You know, so it's kind of beautiful in one respect, but it's actually really quite depressing in another. And it goes, and again, like I said, this is translated through Google Translate, so if it doesn't make 100% sense, you know, that's on me. I did the best I could. It goes, I am nothing, I am empty, I can never live, my heart is a grave. My fear left me, and I never felt pain anymore. The numbness engulfed my soul. A lifeless without happiness is a life I don't want to live. When my body sank into the abyss, please know this is what I want. So, you know, I actually really like those opening lines. When it said, I am nothing, I am empty, I can never live, my heart is a grave, that was like right at the beginning, and I think there was a couple of whispered lines right at the beginning of the song, which were quite hard to hear through my headphones, which is what I think that is. But he's gone, my fear has left me, and I never felt pain anymore. I think that's supposed to be, you know, I don't feel pain anymore. Numbness has engulfed my soul. So, you know, he's at that point where he's at peace with himself. You know, he's sort of just embracing it and letting it go. Because they say, like, when you're drowning, it's a very, very peaceful death. You know, after the initial shock and whatnot of it happening, you know, it becomes quite peaceful. And that's sort of the aspect that he's at the moment. You know, he's at peace with it. He's fine. He's not scared anymore. He's just embracing it. And he says, a life without happiness is a life I don't want to live. That's it. You know, so he's saying, you know, if there is going to be no happiness in my life, if I can't live my life with the things that I love, then I don't want to live anymore. You know, there's no point to my life if I can't have that happiness. And it says, when my body sank into the abyss, please know this is what I want. So he's like, you know, don't feel sorry for me, don't feel bad for me. This is what I want. I want this to happen. It's fine. You know, don't mourn for me, don't feel bad for me, don't feel sad for me. This is what I want. You know, so it's kind of sad. I stared at the sky, closed my eyes. My chest is freezing, numbness all over my body. My soul is finally at peace. I used to know warmth, I used to know happiness, but everything will wither and die. For a while I knew love, my heart could sing, my heart withered and died. Please let me sink, please let me drown. When my heart stops beating, I will smile. So, it's beautifully written. I love the way it's been written. And I'm hoping that this translation is accurate, because it is beautifully written. And, like I said, it is quite sad and quite depressing, but it's written in such a beautiful way. It says, I used to know warmth, I used to know happiness, but everything will wither and die, as all things do. Everything eventually will wither and die. It says, for a while I knew love and my heart could sing, but my heart withered and died. So he knew something so beautiful and something so pure. His heart would sing. He felt so full of love, happiness, and, he was so grateful with what he had, and then he's lost it, and his heart has just withered and died, and he just feels like he can't go on anymore. And it says, please let me sink, please drown me. When my heart stops beating, I will smile. So he will be happy and contented in that final moment when his life is finally over. He's not scared, he's not filled with anger or hatred. He's actually happy and at peace with himself. He's getting what he wants, because he can't carry on anymore without that purity and beauty that he had in his life before. And then it repeats previous verse, saying, I stared at the sky, closed my eyes, my chest is freezing, numbness all over my body, my soul is finally at peace. So, like I said, it's a beautifully written piece of music. And, like I said, it's quite sad, but, there's such a power behind the way it's written. It's so passionate, it's so beautifully written. I love the way, I love the words to this song. And when he's singing it, he's sort of shouting it, but there's this sort of almost agonized tone to the performance. It's almost like he's pleading and begging, please, just let me go, just let me die, because I can't carry on anymore without this thing of beauty in my life. So there's something in the performance as well that really adds to the strength of these words. And, there are elements to the music, some of it's really quite heavy, but in the background there's this sort of beautiful sort of soft melodic music as well. And I just really liked it. I thought it was very, very good. I thought it was very, very good. I thought it was very, very good. I really liked that. So, yeah, so it's an unusual one for me. Like I said, I'm not normally the biggest proponent, is that the right word? I'm not normally the biggest fan of black metal, but I do like this track, and like I said, I like the one that came before it as well. And, he describes it as terror black metal, but to me it's almost like black metal mixed with doom in the way that it comes across, because in that first track, My Floating Body, I seem to recall that was quite a sad and depressing track as well. I can't remember that because it was quite a while ago, and I've done a lot of music since then. But, I really like it. But I can't think of much else I can say to that, so I will leave that as it is. Now, if anybody would like to make a suggestion for me to check out, then please do so by all means. You can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you can even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would of course be a massive help to me, since I make absolutely nothing from any of these videos that I make. I spend hours creating this content and I get absolutely nothing from it, and I'm all for, like, the bands getting recognition for the fact that I'm using their material. That's fine, but the fact that they get all of it is a little bit, it doesn't sit too well with me, because, I put a lot of effort into these, and not all of the video is including their material. But, it is what it is. And, you can help to support this channel, help me make improvements. You might have noticed I've got a slightly different setup with the camera and lighting in this video, so I've managed to make some very small upgrades so far to this video, and hopefully I can further improve, like maybe upgrade this microphone. So many people have made comment about the quality of this microphone, and it's the best one I can afford at the moment. Microphones are stupidly expensive. But there's an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire it. There's a limit on how frequently you can do that. You can only do it once a month, and that's just to be fair to everybody else, other people who might want to make suggestions, because if you could do it as and when you wanted, you could take up an entire month's worth of videos and nobody else would get a look in. But the option's there if you would like your suggestion done straight away. If you do make a suggestion through more regular means, such as Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram comments, do know it could take me a while to get around to your suggestion. Since I do get suggested so many new tracks every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it should get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get around to it, unfortunately. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose goal is to put an end to hate crimes. And one of the main facets of that is hate crimes aimed at people of the alternative culture. And that's something I believe in very, very strongly, something I'm very, very passionate about. And it's something I've had to deal with for most of my life, but it's also something that is very widely ignored. And that's something that really needs to change. Because every day, all around the world, people from the alternative community are getting violently attacked just purely for the fact that they listen to different style of music and wear different kind of clothing. And we're not just talking about names being shouted or getting shoulder bumped as you walk down the street. We're talking about real violent crimes where people are getting hospitalized, sometimes with broken limbs and sometimes with even more life-threatening injuries, just purely for their taste in music. And this sort of thing, it's been going on for decades. It's been going on for since before I was born. This happens all the time, but we never hear anything about it. The last time we heard anything widespread about this was about 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently and brutally attacked by a group of 5 or 6 people who beat them, kicked them, punched them, knocked them to the ground and stamped on their heads so violently that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive this attack. He was in a coma for around about a week and a half, possibly a little bit longer, I can't remember exactly. But he did thankfully survive. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, she was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and was beaten to death by a group of people just simply for the fact that they didn't like that she listened to alternative music and wore alternative clothing. Now, when this happened, this was all over the news, as rightfully it should have been. And eventually, as all things do, other news stories came in and this sort of disappeared into the background. But in the 14 years since that's happened, we've not heard anything else like it. But I know for a fact there have been several hundred, if not several thousand, similar incidents. But nothing's been said. Nothing's been done. Just a couple of years ago, there was a young girl in Scotland. I think she was about 20, 21. And she was running a charity gig up in Scotland. And at one point during the night, she had to go back to her home for whatever reason. It was a 5-minute walk away from the venue. In the time it took for her to leave that venue to get to her home, in the 5 minutes between the two destinations, she was attacked twice by a group of people. She was attacked twice by this group. Again, kicked, punched, knocked to the ground, and brutally and violently attacked. Now, thankfully, a passing taxi driver put an end to the attack and scared off the group of cowards that had ganged up on this one young woman. He didn't stop to see if she was okay. He just buggered off. She didn't get help until she went back to the venue to where her friends were. But had this taxi driver not stopped when he did, there's nothing to say that she wouldn't have ended up in the same situation as Sophie Lancaster. This wasn't in the news. I could walk to Scotland from where I live, And I didn't hear a thing about this. This wasn't in any newspapers. This wasn't on the internet. This wasn't on the TV. Nothing was said. The only way I found out about it is a friend told me about it. And the only reason he knew about it is because he was friends with the person who was attacked. Now, every day we hear about all these other hate crimes like sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, ableism, etc. We hear these on a daily basis. From the most vicious and violent of these crimes, where someone is brutally murdered because of the colour of their skin, because of their sexual identity, or because of their religious beliefs, down to the most petty and childish of these things, where some entitled white woman is calling the police because a family of colour are having a picnic in a public space. We hear these on a daily basis on every media platform available. But we don't hear anything about a 21-year-old woman getting violently and brutally assaulted by a group of people twice on the same night just because they don't like her taste in music. Why are we not hearing about this? If she had been a member of the LGBTQ community, this would have been all over the news. If she had been attacked for religious reasons, this would have been all over the news. But nothing was said because she was a member of the alternative community. Nothing was said. And that is not acceptable. But you can guarantee if she had died, if she had been beaten so violently that she had been hospitalised and died, then it would have been all over the news. Then everybody would have pretended that they cared. And that's unacceptable. We cannot leave it until someone loses their life. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before something gets done. And this is what the Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to bring more awareness of the fact that this is happening and that it is a very real problem. They don't want to see another family go through what they went through when they had to watch their daughter slowly die over the course of 2 weeks because of the actions of a group of small-minded idiots who can't handle the fact that some people like different stuff. They don't want to see another senseless murder over something as petty and pathetic as someone's taste in music. You know, what is the world coming to when you can't have a different taste in... You don't see someone listening to Neil Diamond get violently and brutally attacked in the middle of the street, do you? You don't see someone who listens to opera or classic getting violently and brutally beaten to within an inch of their life because of the music they listen to. So what is it about our kind of music that elicits this hateful, violent reaction? There is no need for it. There's no reason for it. We're always seen as violent, aggressive people, but we're not. If you look at statistics alone, most violent crimes are committed by people from the hip-hop culture. How many crimes are committed by people from the alternative culture? I'm not saying they never do it, but it's rarer than rocking horse shit. It almost never happens. But we always take the blame. And we're always met with violence and hatred. And this needs to stop. Because, you know, we're getting targeted, we're getting victimised, we're getting violently and brutally assaulted, and nothing's getting done. And if we keep ignoring it, it's only a matter of time before what happened to Sophie Lancaster happens again. And we just can't allow that to happen. It should never have happened in the first place. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their overall goal is, because they can explain it a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, or, you know, maybe even even that one, you know, they've got a whole bunch of other really cool stuff over on their web store, you know, but the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.